I went through a phase where I was scared to say I was gay. And so that's why when I started playing FIW, I didn't come out and say, I'm gay. I didn't come out and say, I'm straight. I'm just me. And I am in love with a woman. Who cares?
From the Mamma Mia podcast network, I'm Mia Friedman, and you're listening to No Filter, candid conversations that count. I don't know a lot about sport, but I know about Moana Hope. She's been the breakthrough superstar of the AFL women's competition, kicking goals on the field for Collingwood and now North Melbourne, and appearing with her girlfriend Isabella Carlstrom at awards ceremonies off the field. And the funny thing is, sport is probably the least interesting thing about Moana. For a start, she's one of 14 kids. She quit school at age 10 to take care of her dying father, and at 26, she became the full-time carer for her disabled little sister, Lavinia. But Moana Hope insists that she's not an inspiration. She's just a girl who loves footy and her family. Here's Moana Hope. Welcome back from Survivor.
Thank you. Thank you.
When did you get back and you got sick?
Yeah, it was filmed quite a few months ago. So I came back and I was bedridden for 3.5 weeks. So while I was sick on the island, I started to get sick around day 7. So I was sick for about 9 days in total, I think. And 5 of those days I lost 7 kilos. So I just couldn't eat and drink. Everything I ate and drank was coming out the other end. And it kind of got to the point where I was finding blood where you shouldn't find blood. So I was like, I got to go. Because like I was the only non-retired athlete. And for me personally also, like I've got to come home to a lot of responsibility. I've got Vinny, I've got my mum, I've got my family, I've got my company. And I've got AFLW 2019. So I definitely had to go, okay, $500,000 would change my life, but none of that's worth that if I didn't come back the same person.
You come from a family of 14 kids. Where are you in the order?
I'm one below middle.
One below middle. I can't even work that out. So you're like 7.
7, yeah.
Okay. And then how many more until Vinny?
Oh, you're really testing me. I think 2. I think there was 2. So me and then 2 more and then Vinny. I think so.
So you were 5 years old when she was born?
Yeah.
Was it apparent straight away that she was a bit different to the rest of you so far?
She was born with a disability. When she was born, the doctors didn't think she was actually going to live because the best way I could describe it was that she was a vegetable. So she couldn't actually move, nor could she, I remember, babies get snot in their nose. She couldn't even push that out. So my dad used to sit there and suck out the snot every couple of hours so she didn't choke and die on it. So they didn't think she was going to live very long. She was, I think, second person ever born with her disability. So her amazing doctor flew to another country to see what he could do. So they ended up making this amazing bike that we pushed her around the streets in every day to move the blood through her arms. And then we just built, I think her first step didn't happen until, way later on, like years on. But as a family, like I didn't see her any differently. Like we never treated her differently, and I still don't treat her differently. That's just basically how she started. And compared to where she is now, like they can't believe how advanced she is. And they do say it's a credit to having a big family because she was always passed around so many kids and everyone was always, interacting with her. So it was good.
I've always wondered, like in a family of 14, about the dynamics of it, right? Like you were 10 years old when your father, who you were really close to, was diagnosed with cancer, and you left school around that time to pretty much take care of him full time. Now, I kind of imagine with such a big family that no one really gets to have a very strong relationship with their mum or the dad. That's clearly completely wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I always talk about is that, people from the outside probably look into my life and go, oh, man, they didn't really have much. But the love that we had and have and that's why I just love my family so much because, I love my mum with all my heart and everything she did and everything she said. Like I watched my mum, work. She was a nurse, a dom, so she worked every single day and she would go and do all the shopping and have $5 left and then give us all 50 cents each. And, I watched her do that for my entire life and the things that woman sacrificed. And, they gave us food. They put clothes on our back. Yeah, they're from the op shop, but we never cared, still don't. And, had a roof over her head. What more could a child ask for? So, it was all love.
Did Lavinia's birth I imagine, life is tough enough when you've got that many kids and money's tight. How did that affect the family in terms of putting extra strain on everybody?
I can honestly say from me personally, I didn't feel it. Like, we all just played our part. Like, I always say my mum could have been the CEO of Apple, because the way she ran that household was insane. She had a massive whiteboard and she had all of our names down on the whiteboard, and then she would have like the kitchen, the lounge room, the hallways, the toilets, the laundry and the dinners, and she would have our names on different parts, and we would have to wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. We would all have to do house chores, have your breakfast, grab your lunch, go. Everyone had a role to play. So with Vinny, part of that would be one of us would be grabbing her, getting her in the shower, all of those things. So we all helped each other. Our mum was like, the front runner of all of that. So it was just another day, really.
Did you really leave school at 10?
Oh, yeah, I didn't give my parents a choice. My parents didn't want me to leave school, but I loved my dad. There was no way I was never, because I was with him all the time. Like, I even remember that I would sleep even in their bed, or when he was sick, they still had a cot in their room, so I would sleep in the cot because I was tiny, just so I was there in the same room. So, I just I didn't see it as I was going to be his carer. I was just going to hang out with my dad and make sure he's okay. Because, at that age, I didn't even understand what cancer was. So I didn't fully understand what was even wrong with him. I just thought he was sick. So I was just staying with my dad, basically, to make sure he was okay, because Mum couldn't, clearly, because she had to take care of everyone.
Is there competition amongst you to be the favourite? Like, you sleeping in the cot and wanting to be close to your dad and wanting to be there every day. Did that piss your siblings off, or was it just like, oh, you got there first?
Oh, mate, the competition is solid, strong still. Like, if my mum's iPhone, if I'm her DP, I'm winning. Like, I am winning.
What's a DP?
So, like her photo on her iPhone.
Oh,
like
yeah, right.
Yeah, screensaver. So if I'm that, I'm winning. And right now, I am that, right? And it's so funny because every time, like, if my brother's got my mum's phone, he'll go in and change my name on her phone to, like, most annoying daughter. And, like, I'll go, change his name to biggest mistake of my life. And she'll be like, who is even calling me? So it is super competitive, only because we love them so much, but we love each other. Like, that's the one thing about us as a family, is that, we all come together and we're so protective over each other. And I think, I've seen that even more so being in the media, or, even negatively. I've seen the impact it's had on my family and then how they've reacted, which is super, on one occasion, which I can tell you the story, it's the funniest story in the world, but it just shows how, just the love that we have for each other. So it was like a season 2 AFLW, and actually season 1. As you probably would have read, I was just getting smashed left, right and centre. Like, I had a torn PCL, I was injured, couldn't run, couldn't jump, but I wasn't allowed to tell the media that, right? I got told I couldn't say nothing. And then I had all this stuff written about me, and it was really getting me down. And then I think it was at round 3, I had a call from my brother, and he was like, have you seen the paper? And I was like, oh my God, finally they wrote something nice. So I was like, I haven't seen it. I was going down a shop together, and then my sister called me. She was like, have you seen it? And I was like, calm down, I'm going to go see it. And then I got a call from my mum, and I read it, and it was just all negative back page talking about how crap I am. My mum rang me, I was on loudspeaker, and all my brothers and sisters were in the room with her. And she was like, so the guy who wrote it, we looked him up on Facebook. We found him. What do you want us to say to him? I was like, log out, because tomorrow's headlines will be Hope family go cray. I'm just glad, right, that my family don't know that the Herald Sun is an actual building, or, these papers are an actual building, because they don't understand why people write such mean stuff. And I don't get it. Like, I still don't understand. Even with the men, like, you don't understand when you play in an AFL team, the coach might say your job tonight is something, but then the media want to write something else. So, these people, and I get social media bullied all the time because of that. So the impact that they are having on me mentally, like, I went through a bit of depression because of it, because I was so confused on how you could be so negative and be, when you're in a position that you could write such powerful things and be more positive with all things that's happening in the world right now. You choose to write about that, and that confuses me still to this day.
When did you start playing AFL?
Oh, I was kicking a football from the age of 3. But, I went and started watching my brothers from the age of 5, and I wasn't allowed to play till 7. So as soon as I turned 7, I started playing.
And then when did it get serious?
So when I was finished playing with the boys. I could only play until I was 12. And then I found there was a women's team. There was no girls team. So I went straight into women's team at the age of 13 and played in the senior women's team from then until, now. And then, I represented Victoria. I've represented the only Australian team that there was, and now AFLW. So I've always played at that level.
You took a break for a while though, didn't you?
I took a break for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons was my mom started to get unwell internally, and she is a saint, like the best woman you'll ever meet. In her house, she had 19 kids. 19, just picture that.
Why 19? I thought there were only 14 of you.
Yeah, she's fostering my sisters, nieces and nephews and stuff, so she took them all in. And then so she's looking after all these kids, and she'd tell me she's starting to get really unwell, some really bad results. So at that time I had to put footy first, and I think I was going to try and work it so I can do both. But then, back then women's football were trying to do whatever they could to be where they are now, which I understand because I love where I am right now. But, there was a newspaper that wanted to do an article with me, but they wanted to do it with me. And then the women's comp asked me to put a long sleeve jumper on to cover up my tattoos and chuck my hair in a ponytail. And that is not me. Like, I will never change this for anybody. So I told them to shove it where the sun don't shine. And I just went and took care of family. So I took a couple of years off to take care of family. I took 2 kids off my mum and just was raising a couple of kids for her full time plus working. So was just doing those things.
But you actually, over that time, agreed to take full primary care of your sister who had special needs, Lavinia, right? Vinny. Yep. How did that happen, and how old were you? That's a huge decision.
Yeah, my mum is worried about her health. She doesn't think she's going to be around much longer, and she wants to make sure that if for one day, God forbid, it doesn't happen, she does leave us, then Lavinia is settled. And I've been the closest to Lavinia ever since she was a baby, and I'm very fortunate to be in a position that I am with work first and football second. So, I can do that. Like, I can take care of Vinny, and that's okay. So she asked me to, start taking those reins, and straight away I was like, absolutely. Vinny's just my sister and my best friend. She's, I don't see it how everyone else sees it, and it's beautiful. The people think that I'm this big, amazing, I don't know, teddy bear, but I'm just, I'm sure you would do it for your family too.
Mo, what does taking care of Vinny actually involve for you?
Part of her disability is she needs 24/7 care. So Lavinia can't walk down the shops. Physically she could walk, but part of her disability is she wouldn't be able to get there. She wouldn't know where she was going, and if somebody asked her to come into the car, she probably would. So she, wouldn't be able to do those things. She can't do the things that we take for granted every day. It took me 3 years to teach her how to get dressed.
Wow.
3 years. So, and now we're in about 6 or 8 months on teaching her how to brush her hair. We're still, helping her in the shower, and she needs help. There's still things she can't do, and that's what some of those things are. So she can't cook, and she just can't be alone.
So she requires 24/7 care. How do you manage that with your work commitments and your footy commitments?
It's a long day. I work full time. I run a traffic management company. I've got 70 people that work for me. So I'm up at about 4, and I got a loan out to put a gym in my house, right, to make everything easier. So I'd get up at 4. I'd work between 4 and 7. I'd gym between 7 and 8, and would get Vinny up then, breakfast, get her ready for school, get her dropped off, be ready to pick her up, and then I'd go back to work, and then I'd train again in the afternoon. And then me or Belle being my partner, would prep Vinny's dinner, and we would continue working. Then I normally train from 6 till 9, and then to finish off a little bit of work and then sleep and repeat. So if you're probably going to ask me how do I do all that, it's just coffee. I have a lot of responsibilities. If my job is what pays the bills. Like, everybody knows what we get paid at AFLW, and you would earn more going on Centrelink. So I don't do it for the money. I train because I love football, and I play football because I love it. But my full-time job is what puts food on the table and makes sure that I can pay my mum's medical bills, that I can help her with Lavinia and her house and all my other brothers and sisters. Like my second eldest brother a couple of weeks ago was in hospital, and we nearly lost him because he had 3 strokes that he didn't even know about, and he's only on 1 heart valve and needs a heart transplant now. So he's had to quit work. His wife's had to quit work to be his carer. So, like someone like me, I'm covering his rent. So I'm working extras to cover his rent and pay his bills so they don't get evicted because they got 3 kids, older kids. They had everything going for him. And then this happens where they can't work. So things happen, and, you know, this is where me working and keeping things in control helps my family.
Mo, forgive my ignorance, but you say, oh, everyone knows how much we get paid. As someone who's not hugely familiar with sport, I know who you are. You are the most famous, not just female AFL player, but you're one of the most high-profile athletes in the country. I would have assumed that you would be earning a mozza, both in sponsorships and in payment from the AFLW.
No, that's not correct. Like, you know, the highest AFLW player can get, I think, is $25,000. And the lowest they can get is, I think, $5,000. Now, if you put that over the amount of time we train, like my brother, he plays local footy, right? He's younger and it's a really low division. He gets paid $1,000 a game. It's still more than me. And like we train and we have to be elite athletes. We have to eat really well. Like I've got to pay to go see physios. I've got to pay to get a massage. I'll put a gym in, so I've got to pay that off now. Otherwise I'd have to pay off a gym membership. Like everything adds up. So, you know, when I get paid that money that, you know, we get paid that a little bit over the season at a time, you know, that money, like last time when I got paid that, what I did with that was family. You know, like I remember I took my mum with one of the payments, I took my mum and brought her first ever brand new lounge room chair. She'd never had a brand new lounge room chair in her house ever. They've always been secondhand. So it's not saying I'm wasting my money. It's not enough for me to quit my job. No, it's not enough for me to be abused every day. Like it's not, but I don't play for that. I met a girl on set when I was doing filming, a 7-year-old girl, and the producer told me she was super excited to meet me, and I was getting excited to meet this kid because she sounds like she's a pretty cool kid. And the first thing she said to me was, I'm going to take your spot in 10 years, right? And I thought it was the cutest thing I ever heard, and I loved it. I love that kid and thousands of others message me every day and say they want to play AFLW. So for me, it's about I want to build it so that these kids, when they get there, they don't have to work, you know, 18-hour days. They don't have to work even 8-hour days. They can just train. Imagine if we as athletes could just train every day like the men and play. Imagine, you know, how much better we'll be. But right now we're just building it. And so, you know, the money that we get paid, 25 grand is a lot, trust me. But it's not for, if you compare it to what, you know, what the men get or what local boys teams get or stuff like that, you know. So it's not as big as it sounds, but I don't do it for the money.
Who's a high-profile male player and around how much would he be earning? Just so I can get a sense of the context.
Oh, like probably the highest profile male player at the moment is probably Dusty. And I don't know what he's on, but if I had to guess based on what me thinking I remember was he was over $1 million a year.
Oh, my, plus sponsorship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, like, you talk about sponsorships, like, I'm linked with only a couple of things, like Nike, but that's just, like, I grew up drawing swishes on my op shop clothes. Like, that is just, like, a dream come true for me. So, the fact that I get product is the coolest thing in the world. I'm the happiest person in the world. Special K because I eat it, and it's pretty amazing that I get to rep that. But I'm not signing $1 million sponsorship deals here. I'm just doing it because I love those brands and what they stand for. So, no, we don't get, people think that every day. Like people message me and ask me to, I don't know, like one of the biggest things I get asked to do, and I do it because I'm a sucker, is can you please get a jumper and sign it for me? I'll go buy that, but we don't get that for free. Oh. I don't earn what everyone else earns. What I earn is from my full-time job. That's it. So people tend to think I earn millions of dollars because that's maybe what the boys earn, but it's just, that's not how it works for us.
And Mo, why is that?
We're starting off. It's just because AFLW is starting off, and that's okay. Like, I came from just playing locally, but, you know, now I'm being able to fulfill a lifetime dream, and that is pulling on an AFL jersey. That is the coolest thing in the world. The kid that used to run around the backyard kicking the ball between the two trees, mimicking that she was going to play with the men, now playing a women's comp. And now all these kids that are being more healthy and going out and being more active, it's so awesome. It's super awesome. So, you know, it's amazing that we're starting here, but I just want to keep going up. I don't want to go backwards or down, and that's my goal.
Okay, so what confuses me is that the games seem to be selling out, so there's certainly audience demand for it. But then when I was looking at your Instagram, the season has been shortened. It was already a short season and it's been shortened a bit more. What has to change for there to be compensation for the players and to make it grow? Is it that sponsors, big corporate sponsors, need to come on board?
I think I probably didn't go to school long enough to make that decision. So there is a board of people who are super smart to make that decision. But for me, as a player, how I look at it and how I said it in my Instagram is, how do you add 2 teams in, but then reduce the game by 4 games? Like, I don't understand that at all. Like, I want to play every team. How do I go to you and say to you, hey, please buy a sponsorship at North Melbourne, please? Support the girls, get a membership. It's going to be $100. It's going to be amazing. But we're only going to play 1 home game. Like, I love North. I want to be able to tell everyone to get a membership, but that makes it hard for me because who's going to do that? They want to come to games. And if it's only 1 game in Melbourne, that's going to be super hard. It's just, and then I think, oh man, my family can only come 1 home game. Like, it's just, there's so many things that, you want there to be more games so more people come, so it gets more attention, not less. And that's just how I look at it. And I'm the kid that didn't get to do a lot of school, so I could be wrong, but that's just how I see it.
Well, you might be the kid that didn't do a lot of school, but you're a lady startup who has started her own business. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you started the business and how you've grown it to this point?
Yeah, I started in the industry when I was 18 as a traffic controller. So I was just doing traffic management, and then I got asked to help out the engineering department in the office, which I'd never, ever used a computer before in my life. So I was literally like, it was the coolest thing ever. Like, I could actually be something. So I learned that so well that I ended up managing that department within a year. Like, I was just trying to read. So I used to get the code of practice, and whatever word I couldn't spell, I'd chuck it in Google and make it say it to me so I knew what it was. So I just was a sponge for so many years and just kept working my way up to supervisor to manager to now this. And, we work for some pretty high profile clients. And from a quality and safety perspective, we've never failed an audit from a client. We're only ever recommended for all of our projects. And, I've got 80 people working for me. So I'm just really passionate about what I do from a works perspective. And that's just how I build it. So it's pretty cool. It's something that I'm super chuffed with myself because, something that I've done and it works and we have really good results.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations. How did you meet Belle?
Tinder. No, I'm just joking.
You wouldn't be the first.
No, I was it was after AFLW and I was at a friend's birthday and we were out after the birthday and just seen her in a club and she approached me. And yeah, so she's just she didn't know who I was, which was really cool. She had no idea. She was just wondering why everyone was following me around apparently. So it was just like, what a person. She's completely and utterly changed my life and it's been for the better, which has been nice.
How's she changed your life?
I don't know. I just love how she sees the world. I think it really fits in with how passionate I am about, kids and people, and she's the same and even more so. Like, she's vegetarian, loves all animals. Like, she's the kind of person that if she drives past a bird that's injured, she picks it up, takes it to the vet and pays for it to be fixed. So just to see somebody have that outlook on life was just so refreshing and so nice. And yeah.
I mean, you're almost like a single mum, right? So taking on you as a partner means also taking on Vinny.
Yeah, it's not easy to ask somebody that, which is why I sort of planned on being single forever, But she's awesome. Like, those two, the Survivor, like, I was really worried about leaving for Survivor because Vinny, because I've never left her. But those two, I came back and those two have a bond that I'm really jealous about because normally I'm the one who gets the kiss on the head goodnight first and I don't anymore. But it's just, I can't even begin to tell you how much she's been able to teach Lavinia in a short amount of time. So, yeah, those two. And she even calls Belle mum as well now. So she calls me mum, and now she calls Belle mum, which is super cute. And
so did you guys move in together quite quickly? Because it's the 3 of you, right?
Yeah, so she wanted to move in super quick. I'm going to say that because she's probably going to listen to this and suffer. But, like, I knew straight away that it was not going to be anything short term. And she was over every day. So why not? Like, I want to have a family. So I had no problem living with her. And she's a great cook too. So.
Tell me if this is too personal, but when you've got two wombs to choose from and you want to have a family, how do you decide?
It's not too personal. It's normal. Well, for me personally, like moving forward, I want to play football for 10 more years.
Because she's a model, so she also has, her body's important to her work too.
Yeah, it is. And she's very good at that. She also she's just a big lover, and she also wants a family. So it's something we're actually talking about right now. So she will carry our first little one, which I have wanted a child forever. So I'm super excited about that. And then when I decide to retire, I'll have my own. I can't, my entire family is super fertile, so I think I'll be all right.
How many do you think you'll have?
I'd love to have 3, but, I think we're blessed to have any kids. I think kids are beautiful.
With families of 14, they're usually deeply religious families. Sometimes they're not, but it's unusual for someone to have 14 kids. Was that just something that your mum always wanted, a really big family?
Look, it's a really good question. I've never really asked her that, but we're not, religious and stuff like that. I don't even know enough about different religions or stuff like that. I don't know enough about that kind of stuff. But, I guess you just love kids. And I always say it's a Kiwi thing because apparently Kiwis have big families. And my mum's Kiwi. So, but no, I think she just love kids and so did my dad. So,
do you get together, all of you, very often? Yeah,
we do. A few of them work for me. I've fired a few others. Seriously, though, I have. And, I go to my mum's most days, especially for Vin. So I see them all there. They're always there. And then we have family get-togethers every now and then, which is pretty big. You normally can't fit the whole family in the photo, so you got to take 3 sectioned off photos.
You need panoramic view.
That's exactly right. I can't do that with them because they're always twitchy, so yeah.
You and Belle are just the most gorgeous couple. Also, just both of you just incredibly hot. In terms of red carpet, there are no out players in the male division of the AFL. And yet one of the things that was most delightful about the women's AFL was the number of out women that were walking the red carpet for the medals. Is it the Brownlow? Help me out, Mo.
Yeah, it's like the female Brownlow, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the women are leading the way? Do you think that ultimately that will happen with the men, or is it an issue in the women's league? Because it just seems so completely chill.
I think that kind of issue is everywhere. And I think that, there's still, I can't give you figures, but I've read about things on social media or watched videos where people are committing suicide because, that they've come out and then they get bullied or their parents don't accept them.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard. It's really hard being gay. It's better now than what it used to be, because what I've heard what it used to be, it was horrendous. So now it's getting better, but there still is those people out there that just can't understand it and don't accept it and won't tolerate. I get comments on, I get sent messages on social media, the worst kind of messages about being gay, and the things I get sent, the most disgusting things I get sent in the world. But for me, I went through a phase where I was scared to say I was gay. And that was a long time ago because people would stare, they would have opinions, they would chuck me in a box and say, this is what you are and this is what we are. When for me, I always say everyone's the same. Everyone's same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about anything. Everyone's the same across the board. And so that's why when I came out as AFLW, not came out as being gay, as in when I started playing AFLW, I didn't come out and say, I'm gay. I didn't come out and say I'm straight. I'm just me, and I am in love with a woman. Who cares? If you're lucky enough to find love, that's pretty awesome. So I think that's not an issue. If there are gay men and they're scared, I could see why they're scared, because I play AFLW and right now there's nowhere near as big as AFL men's, and I get smashed about it. Imagine if a male came out and did that. Imagine the comments. I've been to a man's game and I hear the things that they yell at those AFL players, and I feel sorry for them. So I've had to leave a game once because of what people were saying to players that were playing the game, and I just think it's horrendous. So imagine if one player did that. Imagine what could mentally put them through. So if they want to keep that private, then a part of me understands that because of what would happen, and it happens. Don't anyone dare sit there and say it doesn't happen, because I quite literally receive messages about it, and I'm just me. So I get it, but this issue's everywhere. It's happening. So many people. I had a message from a girl the other day that said that after she see my story, she finally came out, and she had the worst anxiety because she'd been locked away for a couple of years knowing that she was gay and couldn't tell her family, and then finally told him and just released all this anxiety that she'd lived with for so many years. So if me being me is able to, I don't want people to go outside the comfort zone or do something they're not comfortable with, but that means she's comfortable and now it's changed her life. So, I can't say that men have to, but I understand if they are and not coming out, I get it.
I'm so sorry that you've been through that. I had no idea. I kind of just, in my naive way, thought that everyone was cool about it. I mean, you only get those kind of comments from, I'll honestly say, because I love men and I love women as a whole. I'm not one of those people to yes, women only. I'm yes, women, yes, men. That's all awesome. Everybody's awesome. But all those comments come from men. And I can say that honestly because I block them straight away. I look at them and go, yeah, that's fine. You're just one of those dudes that, I don't know, maybe you're single, maybe you've been dumped. I don't know what your story is. Don't care. You're going through some stuff. I'll walk away from this comment. But in saying that, that's probably, let's just say that's 20 people that have said uber negative stuff. There's 20,000 people that have said uber lovely stuff. So, put them on a scales. I don't really care. Those 20, I block straight away. So I never speak to them again, or I never see them again. So I'm all good. When you took your break from AFL and they wanted you to cover up your tat because they wanted you to cover up your tats and put your hair in a ponytail, was that part of them trying to subvert your sexuality and sort of erase it and say, oh, we don't want people to think that female athletes have to be gay, so, please look more girly? From
what I got told, yeah. Absolutely. And that's why I love that the AFL has embraced me for me.
Yeah.
And I love that clubs have, and I love that brands have, such as Nike. I've done stuff for them, and Special K and Remedy, all these things that I get to be involved with is pretty amazing. And they're just I'll go to photo shoots, I'll go to, film a TV ad, and I'm what did you, they're just be you, just come as you, whatever. So that's just me, that's standard, because if they actually become something different, I'd probably terminate their contract. But, that's, I go there and I just go with bed hair and I'm yeah, this is me, we're filming, let's just go. And they're cool with it because that's just the way I am. So it's pretty cool.
Look, those brands are lucky to have you, as are all the young women and young men in Australia who look up to you as a role model. And for them, sexuality is irrelevant. They just see a kick-ass athlete who's at the absolute top of her game. So, Moana, it's just been such a thrill to meet you finally and to talk to you. And thank you for everything that you do. And every girl, whether she's into sport or not, who can look at you and just say, yeah, I want to be like her.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
You keep doing amazing stuff and I love that wall.
Thanks, Mo. Thank you for listening to No Filter this week. You can follow Moana on Instagram at Moana Hope. And if you're looking for something else to listen to next, can I suggest another interview I did with an Australian legend, Liz Ellis, who is an absolute hoot. And we spoke about how she captained Australia in netball before. She had to fight a whole other kind of opponent that was inside her own body, and that was infertility. I've popped a link to my Liz Ellis No Filter interview. It's very funny, that interview. It's in the show notes for this episode, and so you can go and check it out now, or just search Liz Ellis No Filter in your podcast app. On the next episode of No Filter, what do you do when your daughter is a murderer? I sat down with a mother of one of Australia's most infamous killers, who was a young woman with everything to live for when she murdered her flatmate a few years ago and irrevocably changed the course of her life when she ended his. That's next week. Be sure to subscribe and tell a friend about this podcast. This show was produced, as always, by Eliza Ratliff. I'm Mia Friedman, and I will see you at home on the homepage, mamamia.com.au.